So these are autophagy practices. They help me do this and keep my body looking like this. Autophagy practices also help my clients do this. And in today's video, I'm going to give you guys 11 practices that greatly enhance the body's autophagy. For those of you who do not know, this is video 4 out of 5. I'm doing a masterclass detox series. If you want links to the other videos, they will be down in the description box. So far in this series, we've covered the salt flush, the liver gallbladder flush, the organic coffee enema. This is the autophagy practice video. The next video will be the master class detox schedule. So if you haven't seen the other videos, check them out. So first of all, many of you guys may be asking yourself, Rob, what the hell is autophagy? Well, autophagy in the most basic term is deep cleansing on a cellular level. It's a process by which the cell breaks down and destroys old, damaged, and abnormal proteins and other substances in the cytoplasm. The breakdown products are then recycled for important cell functions, especially during periods of stress and starvation. So the place that we need to start before I jump into these 11 practices is the difference between manual cleansing and autophagy practices. So manual cleansing are things like the aforementioned liver flush, the coffee enema, the salt flush. Those practices basically manually open the pathways of elimination and alleviate toxins out of the body by flushing them out. That's why they're called manual cleansing and detoxification practices. Autophagy is not really the same. Autophagy mostly happens while you sleep, but you have a lot of influence on how well your body performs autophagy, and that's what these 11 amazing practices are. Without further ado, let's jump into them. Keep in mind, I'm going to be going through these 11 practices pretty rapidly because there's a lot of them and they have a lot of details and they're covered on tons of content on social media and around the internet. So if you want deeper knowledge about each one, it's all over the place. Also, if any of these topics in today's video, any of these 11 really interest you guys, I'd be happy to make a more in-depth video about each one of them. Leave in the comment section which ones you'd like me to do that with. So number 1, and keep in mind, these are not in order of importance. They're all important. They all do autophagy enhancement. So number 1 is hot saunas. So saunas do come in many different forms. There is the typical Finnish style. There is wet saunas. There's steam saunas. There's infrared saunas. Infrared saunas are pretty good, but what I'm talking about is the Finnish style and steam/wet saunas. I really don't think I need to go into too much depth about saunas. I'm sure you guys have heard of their amazing benefits. Science says that doing 3 sauna sessions per week can improve your all-cause mortality rate by 50 to 80%. Now, I do not know if those numbers are legitimate or valid. They seem like they would be. But anyone who does sauna on a regular basis can feel its amazing benefits. It lowers stress, it improves circulation, it fights free radicals, it helps you sleep really well. Sauna before bed helps you sleep really deeply. Here's why. When you sleep, your body needs to be as cool as possible. It naturally lowers its body temperature. Now, one would think that if you get into a sauna, you'd raise your body temperature and then you'd be hot all night, but the opposite happens. When you go into a sauna, especially before bed, which is when I like to do it, your body has to fight to cool itself down when you get out. It's a super compensation methodology of the body, and what happens is for the next several hours, your body is cooler internally than it normally is, which helps you sleep, which enhances autophagy greatly. My suggestion for most people is to try to do 3 sauna sessions per week, but if you can only do a couple, like 1 or 2, that's fine. If you can only do 1, that's great. If you want to do more, you can absolutely do sauna on a very regular basis, 5 to 6 to 7 times a week. Perfectly good. So autophagy practice number 2 is cold exposure. Now, I am not a big promoter of ice bucket 32-degree cold plunges for everyone. It's just not needed. For those who like extreme cold exposure like that, knock yourself out. You can do it every single day. But what we've seen through the literature and what I've found working with thousands of clients is that even like 50-degree cool, cold water can do the trick. Coming right out of your shower, all the way cold, generally is about 50 degrees. For some people, it might be a little cooler. I suggest doing a little cold exposure every time you take a shower. I shower every single day, and so every time I take a shower, I spend at least a minute doing cold exposure. For those of you who are new to cold exposure, you don't have to try to be some type of Wim Hof expert and force yourself in a stressful way to sit in that cold water or stand under the cold shower for 5 minutes. Start off with 10 seconds and build yourself up. Many people like to do rounds of cold. So they take a little cold exposure and then heat the shower back up and then do a little more cold exposure and then heat the shower back up. I guarantee that if you do some cold exposure, you will feel an energetic boost. It does so many things with moving circulation, with improving dopamine and serotonin response levels and balance. It's a great practice for enhancing autophagy. Number 3, and I do got to get a little more detailed into this one because for this one, the details do matter. Resistance training. And the key to this for healing and longevity, I'm not talking about becoming a bodybuilder. I'm talking about for the direct purpose of enhancing autophagy, balance is key. Yes, overtraining is a thing, even though Mike Israetel will tell you it's not, and all these bodybuilders will say, you can bodybuild as much as you freaking want and hit the gym 5-6 times a week. As long as you recover, you're fine. And this is true for getting jacked, but in terms of autophagy enhancement, less is a little bit more and balance is key. Here's what I mean. There's 3 basic parts of resistance training. And the purpose of the resistance training is to do a couple things. Improve circulation, improve your hormones, improve bone density and skeletal muscle, and improve your body's fat to lean muscle mass ratio, your BMI, your body weight, your body fat, all of that. It's also really, really, really amazing for stress reduction and hormonal balance. Here's the key factors. You want to do a sprint session every single week. You want to do a high intensity interval training session every single week. And you want to do strength and hypertrophy oriented weightlifting every single week. With the weightlifting, you want to do that about 2 times a week. And I suggest focusing on compound movements like the squat, like pull-ups, like rows, like bench press, like push-ups, and like some type of hinging motion, like what you get from a kettlebell or from some type of like Romanian deadlifts where you're hinging your body and using your hinge. So big compound movements, full body workouts, 2 times a week in the rep range of 6 to 12, which is kind of the perfect combination of strength and hypertrophy. Again, if you want me to get into a lot more detail about that, please leave a comment in the comment section and I'd be happy to make a full-length video. So twice per week, resistance training. Once per week, sprint work. And what sprint work looks like, and a lot of people get this wrong, it's not high-intensity interval training, it's sprint work. What we're going for is an all-out full body sprint. You can do this on the hills, you can do this on a track, you can do this in the grass, you can do this on a bike, but you want it to be your full body going as fast and hard, 110% as you can for 30 seconds or less. Then you rest unlimited in between your sets. So you can rest a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, fully recover. The key is not getting exhausted. The key is the exertion and the pounding of the pavement, going as fast as you can during the sets. And you want to do somewhere between 5 and 10 sets once you build up to that. So that takes care of the sprint work. Now the high intensity interval training can be a little bit more diverse. The way I like to do it is 50 seconds on, 10 seconds off, 4 different exercises. Once you've gone through the 4 exercises, you take a 30 to 45 second rest, and then you repeat for 5 rounds, 5 to 10 rounds. It depends on how good you've gotten at them. And that's all that you really need in terms of resistance training for the process, or for the purpose rather, of greatly enhancing autophagy. Number 4, and this is probably the most enjoyable one out of this entire list, is just getting out in the sun. The sun is so damn healing and autophagy enhancing. It promotes vitamin D regulation in the body, and vitamin D is a free radical fighter. It fights inflammation. It improves bone density, improves circulation. Also, getting direct sunshine and sunlight onto your skin greatly enhances your testosterone and hormonal balance. All things that are great for autophagy. I suggest getting outdoors every single day a lot. I personally have a morning routine, and I have when the sun is kind of going down routine, and then during the day I'm out in the sun as much as possible. Now, during the early morning hours and during the late hours, I don't use any sunscreen, and I take as much of my clothes off as I possibly can. Sometimes I just go for a little walk. Sometimes I just lay around. Sometimes I just, take my shoes off and just absorb the sun for 10 to 30 minutes. Then on top of that, during the middle of the day, even in the summer, I am outdoors doing something, whether it's playing sport or gardening or working on my farm. During that time, I put a shirt on and I put on a wide brim hat. And I cover up. I'm a ginger. I don't want to get burnt, but I want to get kissed by the sun as much as I possibly can. A question I get all the time is, Rob, I live in a shitty climate and it's cloudy or it's cold and there's not much sun in the winters. That's actually not true. Whether it's cloudy or whether it's winter time, or it doesn't really matter. If it's raining, doesn't matter. Go outside. You will always get the healing benefits from the sun. Always. Number 5 on our autophagy enhancing list is a super basic one. It's generic. It's stress reduction. And this can include anything, and many of the things on this list do reduce stress, but having some form of conscious and intentional stress reduction throughout your week will greatly improve your autophagy in the nighttime. Autophagy happens mostly while we're sleeping. So if you are stressed, it produces a lot of cortisol in the body. Stress response hormones are toxic when they're out of control. When they're acute, they're healing. When they're long-lasting and out of control and systemic, they mess with our system. When we go into autophagy at night, instead of our body having a deeply healing cellular detoxification practice and doing deep work into places that we really need for healing, it instead is just dealing with the out of control stress that our body has produced throughout each day and the accumulation of stress over the months and years and the weeks. This includes things like traumas, relationships, negative self-talk, being critical of yourself and others. Stress is very holistic, and so this one has to stay pretty general. What I will say is, though, be conscious and be on your game with stress management. Do whatever it takes, whether it's journaling, whether it's having some form of coaching or therapy or working on your relationships. Each one of us knows how stressed we are. Some people are less stressed than others. All of these practices that I'm talking today will help with stress. But again, focusing attention directly on stress management will help the stress alleviate, which will then make autophagy practices be much more impactful. Number 6, and this one pay close attention to because the details matter on this one too. Occasional fasting and intermittent fasting done in the right way. If you fast too much, I'm talking water fasting, I'm talking dry fasting, I'm talking intermittent fasting. If you do that too much and too often, it can actually lead to way higher cortisol issues, stress hormones in the body, digestion, gut biome issues, and hormonal issues. Fasting is a direct stressor to the body. It's sending a fight or flight signal to the body saying, shit, we are dying, go into starvation mode, go into preservation mode, which in short bouts done in the right way can be helpful, but done too much is not helpful. With that said, the best way to use intermittent fasting is to eat your calories during the day. Do not put your eating window at like 6 to 8 o'clock at night. The reason being is when you wake up in the morning, your stress hormones need some help. They need some balancing. If you move your body, if you do other autophagy practices, if you have a workout, if you have a stressful job, you need the calories to buffer that stress. And when you're eating during the waking hours, when the sun's out and when you're having the most stress and the most activity, it blunts the negative effects of the stress greatly and helps nourish your body into a healing process. I know how popular intermittent fasting is on socials, and I know there's many people that say, oh, all you really have to do is fast and fast and fast and you can heal anything. I've worked with thousands of people, and I've seen so many people ruin their health by over fasting and over cleansing in the wrong ways. I'm going to say it one more time. Short, small fasting, like a 1-day water fast, can work pretty good as long as you nourish yourself before and after. And if you're going to use intermittent fasting, you will see a dramatically better benefit if your feeding window is from the morning into the late afternoon, instead of it being skipping your meals all day and then eating some type of dinner. This one, number 7, this one will probably be the most challenging and confusing for most people, but it's also one of the practices that is the furthest up there. Eating a customized healthy diet is of the utmost importance. If you eat like garbage and you do all of these practices, your autophagy is going to be crappy. Period. Digesting and assimilating food is one of the most energy sapping things that the body goes through on a regular basis. If you're eating toxic, low quality foods, your body is going to be filled with things that the autophagy has to take care of at night instead of healing. Toxic food and bad dietary habits burden the digestion and the gut biome beyond all recognition. On the other hand, when we eat a clean, healthy, whole food diet, one that's customized for you as an individual, it makes the burden of digestion very, very low. And instead of adding a toxic load to the body, it heals the body and provides the body sustenance and nourishment that helps the body heal much faster and much easier. Besides number 11, the diet is probably the most important one of all of them. Number 8, this is another one that is super easy, and the frequency of this one should be done by every person every single day. Walking. Walking does so many things, my friends. It fights dementia, it improves circulation, it helps the filtration organs filter and detoxify better. It's a blood sugar glucose regulating mechanism. It's a stress hormone regulating mechanism. It's a dopamine and serotonin regulating mechanism. It helps digestion. It helps the gut biome. It helps bone density. This is awesome. The people that get their 10,000 steps in per day, kudos to you. I would say that if you're getting your 10,000 steps per day, but you're not going on a focused pleasure walk, add the pleasure walk in and subtract steps from other parts of your day. Walking is not an exercise. We're not going for speed walking here. We're not going for some type of cardiovascular workout exercise. I'm using the term pleasure walk because that's the term I use with my clients to paint the picture of how walking should be. Go outside, walk at a normal pace, take your shoes off, look around, have fun, listen to the sounds, take big deep breaths. What I like to do on my walking is I like to incorporate some meditative walking into it. And by meditative walking, what I do is I focus on my breath, in through the nose, out through the mouth, or in through the nose, out through the nose, very slowly, slightly controlling my exhale. And I like to play the game of looking at my thinking monkey brain, finding those spots where the brain has stopped thinking things. There's little gaps in the thought process, these little gaps of nothingness. And I try to see if I can see when those are happening and notice them and then stay in those gaps as long as possible. As you play the game, you can enhance or elongate the time you spend in between the thoughts. And the time in between the thoughts is a very peaceful, amazing feeling. The other thing I do during my walks as a meditation practice is I try to conceptualize, where are these thoughts coming from? Like the collective consciousness? Is it me? Am I trying to think these thoughts? And I don't really have to answer the question. I just think, where are these thoughts coming from? Then I bring into my practice, who is the person that is hearing and listening to these thoughts? And what that does is it creates, again, more gaps in the thinking. And it also deregulates the strength and the power of the thoughts, because some of the thoughts are kind of intrusive. They're kind of stressful. They can be projections of the future worries, and they can be thinking about bad things or things that I'm stressed about. And they're on a cycle. We're thinking the same stupid BS all the time. And the more you can kind of separate yourself from them and understand that they're coming from something beyond us and that we're also the presence that's listening to these thoughts, it can make a walk a super trippy, fun, and enjoyable experience. You don't have to do that, but that's what I do. 30 minutes every single day, walking outside, not on a treadmill. That's the best way to do it. Doesn't matter the weather, doesn't matter the season. If it's cold, bundle up. If it's hot, take your clothes off. Number 9, and I'm not going to be very specific with this one because there's literally millions of techniques that work. The only thing that's important about number 9 is that you do it on a very regular basis. Some form of meditation. Now, this one can be kind of combined with the stress management autophagy practice. A lot of these are interconnected and you can kind of mush them all together. I separated them out just for clarity's sake. But some form of meditation. It can be a seated meditation. It can be a walking meditation. It can be a nature meditation. It can be transcendental meditation. Whatever type of meditation or mindfulness practices work for you, do them on a very regular basis, every single day if you can. What this does is it slows the body down. It regulates the hormones. It regulates stress response. All of this improves the autophagy that happens while we sleep at night. Number 10 is relaxing breath work. Now, I know Wim Hof is a very famous dude, and I absolutely love that guy. But a lot of times the hyperventilation style, fire breathing type of breath work does not actually de-stress the body. For some it does, so if that type of breath work works for you, great. But there's relaxing breath work like Ujjayi pranayama, when you just as many times throughout the day, notice your breath, slowly inhale through the mouth, inhale through the nose rather, exhale through the mouth and constrict your throat, making the sound of the ocean. So inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. And what we're trying to do is make the out breath much longer than the in breath. Again, there's no set rules for relaxing breath work, but Ujjayi pranayama is one that I come back to hundreds of times throughout the day. Anytime I notice myself feeling stressed, being a little anxious, moving around too quickly and just being kind of a spaz, I get back into Ujjayi pranayama in the car, in the shower, while I'm doing my work, and it mellows me out. It changes the way that my body is oxygenated. It changes the stress response in my body. It helps me focus, and it helps me feel super relaxed and safe. Do breath work as much as you can. Number 11, and this one might be the most overlooked and important longevity practice / autophagy enhancing practice known to man. Sounds a little drastic, I know, but it's really not. Your social connection and social enjoyment, your relationships, physical touch, giving hugs, being in other people's presence and enjoying it is a key factor for hormone regulation and stress regulation as a human being. We do not get enough physical touch and social loving connection in healthy ways. The more that you can enhance that, the more that every system in your body will work correctly, and the better social connections that you have, the more autophagy your body will do at night. Out of all of them, I might say that the social connection aspect could be the most important. So not to beat a dead horse, but if you take a look at all of these practices, they're all doing a similar thing. They're improving circulation. They're reducing stress. They're helping the body have strong bones and skeletal muscle. They improve your digestion. They improve your gut biome. They improve all the workings of the body in a holistic way. In turn, that dramatically affects the body's autophagy. I want you to keep in mind, guys, that a lot of time when people hear this information, they get overwhelmed. They're like, holy shit, I'm already trying to eat healthy. I'm already trying to work out. I have to do all of these different things. How do I fit this into my busy life and my busy schedule? And I don't freaking blame you. That's why I'm going to be producing video number 5, which is the master schedule on how to put this all together. It's going to be for both busy people, super busy people and super stressed people, and people who have a little bit more wiggle room. What you guys need to know is this. If you can't do all of these practices, that's okay. I've worked with literally thousands of people, and generally people can't do all of these. The most important thing is to look at this list. Number 11 and the diet part is a must, so focus on those. But all of the other parts, the sauna, the exercise, the cold exposure, everything, the meditation, the breath work, which ones do you find the easiest to do, the most enjoyable, and the ones that can fit into your life and schedule with the least amount of stress and the least amount of complication? Focus on doing those, and also watch video 5 because I'm going to show you all sorts of tips and tricks on how to put this all together in a very doable master plan. The key to all of this is making it easy. And the key to all of this is creating a lifestyle that feels good, that's enjoyable. And what you'll find, my friends, is that when you get into these practices, they actually feel really good. So keep in mind, my friends, that this video could have had 30 or 40 different practices, like the deep Thai squat on a daily basis, rebounding, like cycling, like jazzercise, like dancing, like gardening. All sorts of things lead to better autophagy. I picked these 11 because they're practical and most people can do them. I'd love to hear what other practices you guys think lead to more autophagy. Leave them down in the comments section. All of these natural movements and natural things that happen outdoors that involve moving your body in human ways is going to enhance your health, and it's going to enhance your autophagy practices. So don't get too strict and single focused. Again, we're not trying to create more rigidity and stress in life. We're trying to create more flow and relaxation. So if you can't do all of these practices, don't worry about it. Do the ones that you can and make them as enjoyable as possible. As I mentioned earlier in the video, the manual cleansing practices like the salt flush, liver flush, and the coffee enema are in videos 1, 2, and 3. This is video 4 of a 5-part series. All of the links for all of them will be down below. And also, the customization of the diet part is a little complicated when you first start, but once you get it, super easy. I have a lot of links on my channel for customizing the diet based on the biomarker system, which is the system I use with my clients. And it is the preferred step-by-step methodology that does work really great and keeps it very straightforward. So go to my channel and check out those videos if you need help customizing your diet. If you have questions about any one of these things particularly, leave a comment down below. I will get to all of them. Much love to you guys. I hope you have the funnest, most amazing, most healing life, and you are free and abundant and vibrant, and that's what this video series is all about, and that's what these practices are all about. Feeling good, being healthy, and living a long, liberated, amazing life. That's going to be it for today. Much love, and I'll be back with many more videos really soon. Peace.